Normal. Hey, it's a new week. It's a new day. I'm very excited, Anthony. July 27th, 2020. How are you on this Monday morning?
No vacancy. Live action. Hello.
Hey, great to see you. Monday morning, Monday afternoon, depending on where you are, even Monday evening if you're in parts of the world. And dare I say, if you're coming to us from Australia, it might even be Tuesday early morning right now. So, Anthony, great to see you. I got to tell you, one of the things that I love most is when we first go live is watching all of those numbers on our various sites increase for all the people tuning in to watch us every day. How much fun is that?
It's so much fun that I don't watch it, but it will be a lot of fun for you.
I do.
Here, Colleen is always here before we are. Colleen, welcome. Good morning, Mike. Nice brick background, Glenn. He likes your background.
Yeah,
Glenn's working on his background.
I'll tell you what I'm doing. And the reason why I have the brick background going on here, Anthony, is because people were making fun of my other background, look a little too much like a bathroom. I kind of understand that. I kind of get it. So now I want to be in a comedy club background. And this reminds me of all the old things. And since I'm so funny consistently all the time, Anthony, that I figured it would be the appropriate background.
I like it. So, Peggy, welcome. I love my friend Peggy. I miss her. I haven't seen her in a while. Nick from Australia, 2 a.m. in the morning. Thanks for joining us. So, you know what I feel good about, Glenn?
I'll tell you. You tell me something you feel good about, and then I'll tell you something I feel bad about.
You know what? You know what? These 4 months have been, right? We've all had ups and downs. We've all had those moments where, like, oh my God, when is 2027 coming? So,
dude, I'm telling you, as you know, I was a little crabby at the end of last week, and I'm trying to get my mojo together this week. But
so appropriately, the New York Times article has that the federal government's going to unseal some documents showing that we have alien spacecraft that haven't been built in this world. So that's going to be interesting, and make and make a lot of these people who said that they've seen the aircraft and they've actually worked on these aircrafts that they found. I can't remember the gentleman's name or the famous guy that Joe Rogan always has on, but anyway. It was just so. Of course, it's going to happen in 2020, right? Why wouldn't happen? But what really is kind of I want to kind of talk about just for a second is I've had oh my God, like what's going on? But I kind of got out of my routine, right? I got out of my routine of eating healthy. I got out of my routine of exercise, and got out of my routine of really taking care of my mental health and kind of my physical health, and kind of did it when I was in the mood, and that kind of got back to it. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to take my my vitamins. I'm going to eat better. I'm not going to have as much bread and pasta. I'm going to work out 5 days a week instead of working out 1 day a week. And I'll tell you, it's helped. It's helped tremendously. So if you're in a funk, get back to what makes you feel good, and it will help you get out of that funk, because 2020 is going to be, I think, 2 or 3 years within. So now's the time to kind of to touch that. And this morning, I really felt that. I was like, oh, no wonder I'm feeling better. What is it called? It's called Liquid IV or something I take that's kind of like
liquidizing.
Which now
this is really starting to sound like Joe Rogan's.
No, it's really good, man, because it really gets you going. It's kind of hydrates completely. So anyway, that's just kind of how I want to start Monday. It's like, listen, man, if you don't feel good, the only person you have to blame is yourself. Look in the mirror and fix it.
Yeah, that's all right. Even though I got to be honest with you, when I look in the mirror, I know I can't fix this, but I try, Anthony. And one of the things I try.
Can we stay in the positive?
I am staying positive, because this weekend I did exactly what you're talking about. I swam laps on both Friday afternoon, Saturday, and Sunday. It felt really good to do that. I haven't done that this morning yet, but I did get out and about, and I shot a bunch of video this morning with the help of my lovely wife for that aforementioned book project that I'm working out. We needed some video for it. So that was fun. I felt like I got the week off on a good roll. I was really looking forward to it. And then producer David goes ahead and he tells us about the situation with the Florida Marlins. Some of the players and support staff, 14 of them have COVID, and we're only 3 games into this 60-game shortened season.
What I don't understand is, why can the UFC put on event after event after event in foreign lands and no one's got COVID? And Major League Baseball's got a lot of money and a lot of experience, and they can't figure this out. They screwed it up pre-going to baseball season, and now they're screwing up going through. So now the Yankees just canceled, according to David. And so now baseball season may be canceled because they can't do it right. Did they not upfront the money and get all the testing? Like, people should be tested all the time. Like, you should be tested every couple of days, and then you shouldn't be allowed on the field if you have, obviously if the test hasn't come back. Like, there should be a system in place, and you should isolate everyone, kind of like they're doing in the NBA, where they have this camp. So I think that I think they're going to have to be shut down.
Yeah, it looks like that it's going to be going that way. Gosh, I really hope it doesn't. But that bubble that you're talking about with the NBA, even though it's not completely impenetrable, it seems to be a better idea than going from place to place to place to place. I think the NHL has got it right. I think they're going to be doing games from 2 different locations, and only those 2 locations. And I don't believe people are going to be going back and forth either. So that should be very helpful. Man, I was so looking forward to things getting back on track. And it's an emotional setback for people, even if you're like me and you don't love baseball.
I can't get over those little fake signs in the stands. I still can't. Last night I was watching the game, and they had these little, like, people paid $300 for little, like, the picture of themselves. And I just couldn't do it. I couldn't watch it anymore. So anyway, I think baseball has got it maybe wrong. Hopefully they'll get it right. But David, thank you for that information, because I wasn't following it that closely. So 17, Marlins have it?
14. Yeah. Not all the players, also coaching and support staff.
Well, look where they're from. They're from the epicenter of the world right now for COVID.
Yeah, well, also, they were playing in Philadelphia, but I think it happened with a game in Atlanta. They're speculating because a couple of Atlanta players have got it too. Now, to answer your question about the UFC, my thought is, not based on scientific evidence, just my own critical thinking here. The UFC has a lot fewer people that I think need to be associated with each match or each night of fights, right? Well,
yes and no. If you definitely less than baseball. So the baseball,
it's you got what, 36 rostered players already, you still got, plus.
You still got several hundred people. So baseball, you maybe got a couple thousand with all the things. So yeah, it is lesser as far as it comes to players, but you're spitting on each other, you're bleeding on each other. So you're in a lot closer quarters. So you have the refs, you have the judges, you have the cutmen, you have the fighters themselves, you have the trainers, you have the strength and conditioning, you have the people that can provide all the food, you have the airline pilots, so there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of people, but they have such a rigid way of doing it. You don't get on the plane unless you're tested. Okay, and then you have to stay 3 days, and then you come back into Abu Dhabi, and you have to be tested, and then you have to go on quarantine for 3 days. Then you test it again, okay, and then you can you can fight, and then you test it again, and then you're tested like 8 times. So I think, but they just had it on tight, real quick, and it didn't seem like Major League Baseball had it tight from the jump.
Well, I honestly haven't been following the story too much, and maybe you listeners, you could give us a little education there in the comment section. But it seemed to me where the NBA was really pulling everybody together and isolating them, I didn't hear those stories about baseball. So perhaps the players in training were going home every day, still doing what their regular lives were. So it's a
listen. At the end of the day, this is not bad. This is not good for travel, because when people hear that, it just scares them again.
All right, so
it's really bad for travel.
Yeah, UFC had 2 fights with 40-year-old fighters as well. Mike McManus is saying the rugby in New Zealand has been going great because they've had essentially 0 cases in there. They're only getting like 1 or 2 a day right now, so everyone can hang out together.
So I know what match you're talking about, and that the fight that we had, the 2 40-year-old fighters, was a really good fight. And so are you making fun of that, or are you saying, hey, they did it and they had old people and they still didn't get sick? Well, because those were 2 good fights, and those are 2 very competitive UFC fighters. So hopefully you weren't making fun of them.
Well, I've got to watch some of this UFC fights with you one day. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
You know what? I know more about MMA and UFC than I really should, to be honest with you, and more than I thought I did. So somebody writes in there about John Taffer, says that 50% will be shutting down too. It's hurting everyone. Yeah, I don't think I needed John Taffer to tell me that. That we talked about that in March, that this is not sustainable if we don't get this open quickly. And I think what's happening is you're going to see a different restaurant model going forward, period, end of story. I don't think you're going to see these really big high-end restaurants in these A locations anymore. I just don't think it's sustainable. I think you're going to start seeing restaurateurs come together and share kitchens and share chefs. And you're going to start seeing them doing a little bit more outsourcing because you cannot pay $75,000, $100,000 in rent a month in New York City. Now, fortunately or unfortunately, those rents are going to go down because New York City's hurting. Anyway, the long story short, not to go down that road because we don't want to talk about that today, but at the end of the day, when Major League Baseball screws it up, it's not good for our travel industry and the hospitality industry.
No, it's really
not.
Now I can't drop what you said and just move on. I do believe that a lot of restaurants are going to close, but I don't think it's a permanent reset of the way that people are going to experience restaurants in the future. 2, 3, 4 years from now, I think we're going to be back to normal on it. The number of restaurants will be lower, but those types of restaurants will still be.
This is what I think is going to change. Okay, and I'm right and you're wrong because I'm Anthony and you're not. I'm just kidding.
No, I was just waiting to have you say your idea and then tell you how wrong you are. So go ahead.
I may be wrong. This is how I feel. I have no idea, but this is how I feel. People are going to get used to tables a little further apart. People already started getting away from that real heavy formal dining experience. Okay.
That's right.
With the 7 forks. So the spaces are going to be a little bit more comfortable. And when you have more spaces and you have more comfort and you don't have 20 stacked up at the bar, you're going to have less rent because you cannot afford to pay all that rent when you have less tables and less people in your restaurant. So I don't think the dining experience so much is going to change where people don't want to go to restaurants and bars. I'm just saying the environment in which we're sitting is going to feel a little bit different. I don't think you're going to see those big restaurants with tables right next to each other. I don't think you're going to see those community tables anymore, but I could be wrong.
Right. Well, we'll find out. I think what everyone should do is let's mark this show and report back in end of July 2025.
Well, Glenn, not to show off, but if you marked every show that we've made predictions on, we'd have a lot of rewatching of stuff to do. We'd have a 100% accurate.
That's for sure. But I will tell you, we are 100% accurate with all of the predictions we make, such as the next prediction of I think how awesome our next guest is going to be. What do you think? Think we should bring her on?
Why not?
All right, let's do it. Here we go. Kimberly Christner, President and CEO of Cornerstone Hospitality, a great hotel company. We got 14 properties open, about half of them branded, half of them smaller boutique hotels, Kimberly?
That's correct. Thank you for having us today.
Excellent.
Appreciate it.
Well, you know what? It's great to have you, and it's great to see a woman CEO in charge of a hotel company. So thank you, bless you. And you've worked really, really hard to get there, I know. And you were just telling me, we met back in 2012 at a conference, and you gave me one of my favorite gifts that I've ever received. So thank you very much.
Oh, what was that?
Kimberly will tell you. She'll explain the whole process of it.
Yeah, so it's especially important now, I think, during COVID. We use NanoTouch products, which a little plug for them. And what I had given Anthony was a travel mat, and it's a self-cleaning mat that you can travel with, and it's pretty cool. It self-cleans. You can put your toiletries on it in your guest room. We now have them like elevator buttons. We have front desk mats. We have door handle turns, things like that in all of our properties now. So it's
the first time I ever received it. I used it in a 5-star hotel once, but I didn't have one, and she gave me one. I've lost it since then, but I used it for quite a while. And do you have sheep? Because what is that thing behind you?
Oh, that is a picture.
Do it one shot. Do it one shot, Glenn. Do it one shot.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. What is that?
That painting.
Is that the Beatles?
No, the painting, the thing next to it.
Oh,
I think you heard sheep with it.
Oh, that is a shepherd's hook.
Okay.
And that's part of our management program. We lead by like a shepherd does, which is you knead them a little bit with the hook when you need to, and then when you need to save them, you kind of loop it around their neck and pull them where you want them to go.
That's pretty cool. Little known fact, when I was in 10th grade in high school, I had to take a career placement test. And it's one of those things you fill it out and they tell you what career would be best for you. My top 2 choices were shepherd, which is why I bring it up, and then somebody working in a mortuary. So
I don't know about that, but our shepherd hook was made by my husband had it made. It's based on a book called The Way of the Shepherd, which is a leadership book. So,
well, I was told I should never sit at a desk job because I get fired, and they were.
So, Kimberly, you've been tending to your flock and trying to keep things going. What is the state of your business today? I'd love to learn a little bit more about that before we get into some of the specifics about boutique hotels.
Well, today, I mean, I think we're where everybody is.
You're right, Gary.
We're kind of struggling, and but I think that we're on the way up. We've seen some improvements over the summertime. Travel, leisure travel, as everybody said, is coming back. Corporate travel is the thing that we're still struggling with. But in our interstate properties, we have we have limited service and select service and full service properties. So we have a mix as well as the boutiques. And so in our limited service and select service interstate properties, we're doing pretty well in our and they're coming back. And then in the city properties where we're dependent on government travel or we're dependent on corporate travel, we're still struggling like everyone else is.
But tell everyone kind of what kind of hotels you have, boutique hotels, branded hotels, how many hotels you have, and kind of what's your niche.
Yeah, we already did that.
Yeah, well, we have we have select service, Hampton Inns. We have all the brands, in select service and limited service. We have extended stay product, and then we have our boutique hotels. So we have a mix of products. So our boutiques some of are fully independent, and then some are affiliated either with Preferred Hotel Group, Hilton Hotels Tapestry Collection, or Marriott's Tribute Collection.
Right. So of all of this, Daniel wants to know, what's been your biggest challenge so far working your way through this?
I would say the hardest thing that started was the team. We really struggled with the team. We're very team oriented. So when we had to do layoffs and all, just like everyone else, that was probably the hardest thing I've ever done, and we've ever done as a company, my business partner and I. And it was really hard. And now it's been, as we're coming back, getting people back to work. Getting them off of the unemployment and coming back into their regular jobs.
So what do you think about that $600 going away? Do you think that's
which has gone away? Yeah.
Yeah. I think that there are people out there that need that actually have been laid off and are not able to go back to work. I think it's very hard for the government to try to decide who deserves to get it because they can't get a job and who doesn't. And I think that's a challenge. But for us in our industry, we need to get people back to work. We need to get to some normalcy in our travel world. And I understand that some of the resort properties and some of the larger properties, it's probably a bit more challenging to do that. But for the smaller properties and for those of us in other markets, we're ready. We need to get some people back to work. So we've been very good about trying to work within their guidelines and try to, protect that $600 for them thus far. But it's gotten to a point we can't do it anymore. And
it changes now because the current administration is unable to come to an agreement. Currently, they expect to have something, but right now everybody's on hiatus. Nobody's getting that $600 anymore as of this past weekend. How is that going to change you going forward? And what do you expect to see happen? And then what do you hope to see what'll happen?
I hope that we'll be able to, we've been very fortunate. The team that we have, everyone we've asked to come back just about has come back at some partial capacity. And I hope that now that things are getting better for us, that we'll be able to bring them back full time. And if we can't bring them back full time, that we get them, that the government, I think they will come up with some kind of quasi dollar amount that gets them additional funding besides just the straight state.
Well, I'd like to see, Kimberly, and everybody let us know what you think in the comment section, but if you make hypothetically $1,000 a week, but Kimberly, you're only able to have somebody come back half-time and give them $500 a week. Perhaps there's a way for the government, instead of giving everybody a blanket amount, could then supplement the loss of income for people that are going back to work. That seems to me to be a real logical solution in order to get people to want to go back to work, while also relieving the owners of businesses with the burden of trying to get people to come back in a lot more difficult way. Now, I'm glad that you, Kimberly, haven't had as much of an issue, but a lot of other companies seem to be handling it. What do you think of that potential solution?
No, I think that's a great solution. I think that what I've heard from the politicians has been that that's a challenge for the states to try to go through all the details and getting that, and then actually getting the money to people in a reasonable time. But I do agree that that is the best way to handle it. If we could do it that way, that'd be great. I do want people to be taken care of. Sorry.
Yeah, they're making decisions, immediate, and we've never seen these decisions before. And so they're doing what they can, whether whatever side of the aisle you are, it doesn't matter. They're doing what they can. And I don't think if they didn't do that $600, I think we'd be in a lot worse shape right now as an economy.
I agree with that. For the past few months, I agree. The last 120 days been hard on people, no question. It's been tough.
Hey, Nick says supplements work. See Australia. All right, so we'll have to look more into all of that. So, Anthony, I don't know if you just put it up. Jay Ruth was saying that he saw you were in the Air Force. Did you know that Kimberly is a daughter of a Navy man?
Oh, really? I didn't. So you traveled a lot?
I did. My dad, we lived in Europe for quite some time and traveled. And then I grew up, my teenage years were in North Carolina on the coast.
Well, I find that military brats, so to speak, are not brats at all, that they're very easily, you can throw them anywhere, throw anything at them, and they can handle it. Like a pandemic, this ain't nothing.
Yep. I'm the proud daughter. I'm proud to be called a Navy brat, so I'm good.
Yeah. Well, thank your family for his service. And so if you look at where we were in, say, May, and you saw the travel coming back, the leisure market coming back, are we where you thought your company would be now that we're heading into August, or are we further away from where you thought we would be?
Based on what we saw in the last 120 days, I would say I think we're better than I thought, because I really thought it would be fall before we'd see something come back. But if I were to look back in last year, I would be saying I'm devastated about where we are. I mean, it's a disappointment to celebrate how less you are down than you thought you would be. I mean, that's really a challenge.
Well, see, last year didn't happen.
No.
Last year didn't happen. 2020 was the first year of the world. So comparatively speaking, everything is looking up. Because if you look back at 2019 and 2018, you'll just get really depressed. So 2020 is we're reborn, and we just got to go with that, right?
Well, and I think you have to be smarter. I think a lot of companies are doing the same thing in in most hotel companies, and that is, or companies as a whole. You're restructuring. You're trying to figure out new ways to do business. You're trying to figure out new ways to market. How do you capture that guest? What are they looking for? And I think this gives us an opportunity. It's almost like fertile ground for new growth in a way that we haven't looked at it before. And I think that's an important factor for every company to be looking at.
I love that you're saying that. You're looking, and this is why I'm so glad to have you on as a positive spirit on a Monday, because you can very easily take the opposite approach, that things are so terrible and we've got to get ourselves out of this hole. But instead, you're flipping it around. You're saying it's a chance for new opportunity, reinventing what you do. Now, you've got a position where you have smaller size boutique hotels in some of these smaller cities as well. Not to confuse you with using the same word twice there for meetings, but what positioning do you have for those hotels today, and how do you plan to reinvent stuff so those hotels are going to be successful and vibrant in the future?
Kimberly, if I can interrupt before you answer that question, put that back up there for me. Kimberly has been such a great leader through the pandemic for 2 hotels of mine. I could not have led our properties through the past few months for even a fraction of wisdom, perseverance, and vision. Love you. And the reason I bring that up is because that is from someone that obviously you work with, someone that appreciates you, respects you, and you can be here and you can pontificate all you want. But the truth is, when people like that have a need to drop that on our show and tell us how wonderful you are through a very, very difficult challenge. So thank you for being that great leader. And it's not, it's not what you do on this show. It's kind of what people say you're doing behind the scenes. So you're living the spirit, and you understand that military mindset of you just got to get the job done. So thank you very much. And who is that gentleman?
He is the owners of 2 of our hotels that we operate for. And I'm fortunate. I have a great business partner. We have great leadership in the field. So it's not just me. This is a team effort. And, I have to give credit to them because they're the ones out there doing it. And we as a company, to get to your question, Glenn, on the boutique side, but we as a company, we operate on a triangle method. So the base is the field. It's the hotel people. It's the people working in the hotels. It's the leadership in the field. That's who makes things happen. Me at the top, yes, I understand the culture and all of that. And with my business partner, we are the ones that dictate that. But it's the field. It's the people that are in the hotels getting the job done. They're the ones that bring it and make it happen. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the owners that, give us that option and opportunity to work with them. And we're happy to be of service. Talk about the boutique hotels and what we're doing differently in those markets. Most of our properties are in small markets. So we're not in the major cities. We're in tertiary markets. We're in towns of 1,000 people, and we're developing historic buildings and converting them into hotels. And the market share, of course, we're the big kahuna in the market, but we're also don't have the marketing spend that we would necessarily need in order to do the hotel. And the ones that are independent fully have even greater challenges. So, we have to count on different ways to market and leverage our market share and to gain more visitors. Now, I'm grateful. Many of our properties are in markets where they're drive destinations, so you don't have to fly to get to them. So it's a little easier right now, and we can recover a little faster. And, our properties that are fully independent, we have one that's in Southwest Virginia in a little town called St. Paul, Virginia, not Minnesota, but Minneapolis, Minnesota, but it's in St. Paul, Virginia. And we, out there, 1,000 people, it's the best place you can be. You can, town of 1,000 people, you got the spearhead trails and ATV trails on one side, you got the Clinch River on another, you can fish, you can do all kinds of outdoors activities. So that's a place that's really sought after. And we have really tried to capitalize on that through web presence, social media marketing, direct marketing through social media, all of that.
And that, because there's not a lot of, meat on the bone, so to speak, in these kind of old historic hotels, like that big town of South Boston, Virginia, that I've never heard of, South Boston, Virginia, where you have a hotel called the John Randolph is 27 rooms. It's a historic hotel. It's not in a market. There's not a lot of, meat on the bone there. Like you're a management company, you have the owners got to make their money. You got to pay the employees. You got to come up with the market. You got 27 rooms to do it. You're not a 5-star hotel where you can charge $1,000 a night. Like, again, being in these positions before myself, I mean, literally, one room doesn't get sold, and your whole P&L goes out the window.
Right, because it's such a high percentage compared to your overall inventory, right?
So how do you what's your magic trick?
So we have the John Randolph isn't open yet; it's in development. But the western front is a 30-room property, and the way that these properties get done is the way a lot of properties in the historic projects get done, and that is through historic tax credits and grants. And Virginia has a great program, the Tourism Development Program, in which you get rebates on sales taxes. And those are the only ways those properties really make sense. And as an owner of several of those properties, it makes a difference. And so that's how we get it done, because our debt service is much lower, and it makes it a little easier. But you still have to bring the people in. You still have to rent the rooms. You still have to keep your operating costs low. And we're able to do that. We're pretty good at managing those expenses. So a lot of times, like right now, it's not an expense problem. It's a revenue problem. We don't have all the occupancy that we need. And so, but on a regular basis, we do pretty well with those. And those little properties, they're not really made. They're made to be profitable to some degree, but there's an altruistic sense to those properties. And that is that you're creating something in a destination market, that you're trying to make a destination market, and you're trying to be a catalyst and become a part of a fabric of a community, to grow that community and give that community something fabulous that it can be proud of. And that's what we do. That's what we do really well. And so the Western Front, we just opened in June, or end of June, we opened the Sessions Hotel in Bristol, Virginia, which you might know where the Sessions is. It's you've seen the Geico commercial where the gecko stands on one side of the street.
Yeah.
Tennessee and Virginia. So that's where the Sessions is. And we did affiliate that property. So that property is a Marriott Tribute collection, a portfolio property.
So how are you thinking then about marketing these properties, getting the consumer to pull the trigger on a stay experience at one of these boutique hotels? We could talk about, bigger cities, Hamptons, blah, blah, blah later on. But it seems to me, if you're such a fabric of the neighborhood, that perhaps there's opportunities to get some of the neighborhood to support you as well.
Absolutely. It's through partnerships, through the local community. We do a lot of it is, what we do. You can stay in a beautiful boutique hotels. I love them. I stay everywhere and independent properties. But the experience is what we try to create, is tell the story of the community, tell the story of the buildings, tell the story. And so right now people are in their homes, haven't been able to travel, they haven't been able to get out. But if you could go to a property where you can have an experience at that property, and you can learn and you can grow, and you can also walk downtown and you can see different things that are happening in that community, and all of that partners together. We partner with the breweries, with the art galleries, with the museums, all of that to bring together an overall experience. So when you leave the property, we're lucky in that most of the time when people leave, I'd say 99%, they leave our properties, they are posting on TripAdvisor, on Google, they are doing our marketing for us.
Wow.
So we're creating our own ambassadors by the way that we operate our properties and develop our properties.
And that's really the only way to do those kind of properties, because you don't have the budget for it, and that one person's worth 3,000 people. And the hotel goes the way the town goes. I've done a lot of these hotels in these markets where if the town is starting to feel the pain of the recession, you see it in the hotel. Period. Story, because you may see it flip over to another owner because they're trying to get out right before the market changes, and then the new owner thinks, well, they have a better idea than the old owner. Well, you don't, because this town, it's like if an Air Force base leaves a town, good luck to that town, because you've been relying on this town for so long. That hotel, it's not the hotel goes down and the town goes down. It's the town starts to move down and then the hotel goes down. So it really is, if that hotel is beautiful and it's got fresh flowers and it's got turn down service and it's got that great service, you can go downtown. I guarantee you, every one of those stores are there's no vacancy, and they're vibrant and they're beautiful, and the people want to embrace your guests. But it goes part and parcel. It's not like New York, it's not like Chicago or LA. It's that town and that hotel are married.
Yep. And that is so true, Anthony, because when we evaluate towns we're coming to, I get a lot of calls for people that want us to come, cities, towns, business owners that want us to come to a town, and we're evaluating that. We are fully focused on the town dynamics. What is the leadership? How is the leadership of the town? Are they focused on the growth? Do they care? What are they doing? Because if they're not focused on it and they just want to bring somebody in to plop down something, we're not interested in that. We want to be part of a community that is wanting to thrive and wanting to grow. And so we're fortunate in that every case that we have done a boutique hotel in, is that the community as well as the town leadership or city leadership has brought us to the town first. We've done market study, we've got to know them, and then we've decided whether we're going to work there or not, and we're going to put our money, our time into it. And in each case, they support us 100%. They help us with marketing. They help us with, they're completely supportive, and they're ambassadors for us. And if they're not, it doesn't work, just as you said. Right. You have to have that town buy-in. Right,
and because you're one of those, I always say a lot of management companies stink, but there are really good ones out there, and the really good ones out there have been there for a while. And the people at the top are, like, in their minds, they're general managers. They work like general managers work. They don't work like they run the company. They work like they're worrying about the toilet bowl being clean today. And that's the only way, to me, that management companies really work, because you're not looking for 1,000 hotels, but every single hotel you're making profitable, and it means something to your heart. So if that hotel goes out, like, you're brokenhearted. Yes. I know when I've run hotels and I've left, and I see 2-3 years later, and then, oh, look, the hotel fell apart. See, Anthony, no, I didn't do my job, because I didn't do it long enough where, like, there was one hotel, a very big hotel I won't talk about, but, like, I knew I left 6 months too early. I just knew it. And a year and a half later, it was out. It was, like, basically in bankruptcy. And my heart broke, because I knew if I stayed another 6 months, my team would have been the right team to run it. And I didn't have the right key players 100%. And it broke my heart. It still breaks my heart.
Yep. And that's a true statement. I mean, we've worked with owners, and we're very picky. We are small for a reason. And I heard you, Anthony, talk about this previously on other episodes, where you have management companies. It's all about the growth and how many properties they have and what their numbers look like. Well, I'm all about that too. I understand the business model. I also understand that I want to touch and feel our properties. My business partner, Craig, and I, that's what we want to do. That's what we set out for. And if you get too big, how do you do that? How do you know your team? How do you know the housekeepers? How do you know that? How do you know really your owners when it's just, yes, it is about the numbers and making sure it's profitable, but it's about the team. The team is the one that makes that happen.
Right.
And so we are really engaged in that. And I understand your struggle when you leave a property, or we've developed properties and not operated them afterwards. And I am crushed by the culture that I tried to create, or the interior design, or the experiences that you wanted that property to talk about and share, and they don't do that. And that's painful. That hurts.
I think as a leader, as a manager, when you stop caring that housekeeper you got to know, I got tears in my eyes thinking about this, because there's a lot of housekeepers I'm thinking about, get promoted to supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you lose that connection, like right now, if I was told one of my housekeepers from the last hotel I ran got promoted to assistant general manager or something, I'd break down and cry.
Yeah.
Like, when you lose that connection to people and you lose that feeling the hospitality, because I can give a rat's ass, to be honest with you, about most of the stuff in our industry. What I care about is that our industry allows a housekeeper to become the CEO of a hospital. I had a bellman, Alan Lee, who's a bellman, who's now CEO of a major hospital in New York City. That stuff, like I will, like that's what I live for. I don't live for like all the other stuff that people get caught up in. Like it's like the military. We have an environment that you can grow from a housekeeper all the way to the CEO of the company. And there's nothing that I get that fills my heart more than that.
All right, hold on. I got to say a couple of things here.
Are you going to say something funny and stupid, or what? Are you going to say something serious?
I'm going to be serious here. Number one, I've never observed so many comments about specific hotels being mentioned. Hotel after hotel after hotel, people are absolutely loving this. I swear, we never get this much positive feedback about specific properties. When anybody is on the show, we don't get this kind of volume of people talking about all the different hotels and how awesome they are. That says a lot about you. Anthony just mentioned something also about starting at the housekeeping level, working your way up to CEO. You did something relatively similar, starting at more of an entry-level position, correct? And now you're CEO.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, if you don't mind.
So I was fortunate to be brought into a company. Beck Company was a gentleman that lived in our community, owned some hotels, and he brought me in. I was started as a front office manager, and when I left, I was the CEO of his company. Had been CEO for about 5 years before Craig and I decided to strike out on our own and start Cornerstone. So yeah, I worked right all the way up the ranks.
Right, and because you don't get to that level if the details don't matter to you. Like that person that wants a 3 o'clock check-in, and you're obsessing at 2 o'clock about, hey, that room's not ready. The guest is not checked out already. We have to move that room. We have to, like, if you're not on complete, like, lunacy of, like, I got to get that room at 3 o'clock because that guest is going to be at 3 o'clock, you care about that stuff. Mm-hmm. And when you're a CEO of a company, or you're whatever I'm doing in life, like that stuff, if I ran a hotel tomorrow, I would still be obsessed about that stuff. And that's the stuff that runs a great hotel. You have to care about the color, the painting. Like, not only is there dust on the painting, but is that painting in the right place? Like, everything matters, and you don't get to your level unless you're a little. Actually, I just bought a book called The Edison Gene. Did you read that book? Anybody?
No, but I've heard about that book.
Yeah, and it's basically people that have ADHD, and I've never been diagnosed with anything, but I'm sure I got a whole bunch of stuff wrong with me. But when I was listening, I was actually
I've diagnosed plenty for him.
I was listening to Joe Rogan podcast about a gentleman who started the Spartan race, and he read the book, right? And he comes from the same neighborhood I come from, and he started this big Spartan race. You've heard of Spartan races, right? And those big competitions. And he's kind of a lunatic. And as I'm talking to him, I'm like, oh, I'm a lunatic too. So I got to read this. So when I read it, I'm going to tell you all about it, Glenn, because I think you suffer from it a little bit too. But it's that gene that we see and feel things at a different level than other people. And, it doesn't make us better. It just makes us, like, to me, if everything isn't buttoned up, then everything isn't buttoned up.
I agree. And I can tell you a story of, we had a general manager that was like just a stellar general manager. The owner of the company came in. She'd won all kinds of awards. He comes through. She thought he was going to give her all kinds of accolades, which he did. And then she gets a box in the mail a few days later, and the box is a bunch of cigarettes he picked up in the parking lot. And he said, seek to improve your business every day. And I think that's painful, but it's a valuable lesson and something I've never forgotten. I wasn't the general manager that got that, by the way, but I think it's a valuable lesson, and that is you can never take your eyes off what people are seeing. So the value perceived for a building, and it's always a compliment when somebody comes to our properties and says, hey, I'm a road warrior. I stay 300 nights a year in a hotel, and this is the best hotel out of all the hotels I've ever stayed at, and you're not charging enough money. Okay, great. But it's that value perceived that a guest has, and those are the small things like you're talking about, Anthony, that make the difference. And so when our team, they all know when I come or when Craig comes, they're going to get a list from us of all the things that we noticed when we were there that need to be corrected, as well as they're going to get those compliments and they're going to get the accolades. And we don't have people that work with us for 10 years or longer and came with us when we left because we don't do a good job at that.
Yeah. And high performers don't need a kick in the butt.
Yep.
That one kick in the butt will last 20 years. I'll give you an example. I was at the Algonquin Hotel. We just renovated 28 days. New York Times said the only thing that ran on time that year was the Algonquin renovation. So it was a lot of stress. We worked our butts off, and I drove everybody crazy for 28 days. We opened up, and I said, so about 2 weeks later, I'm still driving people crazy. And I grabbed everybody all the managers, everybody that was in the building, whether you were an engineer, whether you were a housekeeper, everybody to the lobby. I said, okay, guys, we're going to do an exercise. I'm going to swear to God, I'm going to pull out the table in the lounge in our lobby. So have you ever been to the Algonquin? It's a very big, beautiful lobby. I'm going to pull out the table, and at night everybody's having peanuts and and hors d'oeuvres and drinks. I'm going to pull out the table. I'm going to pull out the banquette. If I pull out that table and banquette and it is spotless, like it was 2 weeks ago, I go away. I'm going to take a vacation, even if it's in my office, and you're not going to see me for at least 2 or 3 weeks. I'm gone. I will not in any way manage this hotel. You guys are superstars. But if it's not, we've lost our way, pre-Algonquin. That's why I was brought in. But we're not going to lose our way going forward because they just gave us a lot of money to renovate. Mm-hmm. Well, I get on my hands and knees. I pull out the tables and chairs, and I get on my hands and knees. And I take all the crap that I found on the floor, I put it on the table, and I walked away. That's all. I never said anything. And guess what I did? I still went on my 2 weeks of not bothering them, and I still went away, and I didn't bother them. But I gave them a lesson. It's like, we think we're good. We're the new team coming in. We're doing the same crap that the old team did. So if this doesn't matter to you, then we're going to be back doing this again in 6 months, and I'm going to be fired, and you're going to be fired. Yeah. This matters. That changed our team like that.
That is so true. That is true. It's a valid point. And it's good when you have a good team. We're fortunate. I have good people, and we take really good care of them. Craig and I are both passionate about the team, as we've said. And that makes our properties be successful. That is what takes care of the property. That is what takes care of the bottom line. That's what takes care of the repeat guests. Those things make a difference, and we really focus on those.
To underline what Glenn said, I've never, and we've had Jerry and Zarella here. We've had Horst Schultze here. We've had CEOs of Marriott. We have had everybody on the show, and we haven't even come close to this kind of fan feedback.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, it's really it's really great, and I'm so glad that you came on to the show. So we got this. It's all wait, hold on. It's all about Let's bring that one up more time. It's more about caring about your others than yourself, about meeting the needs of the individual. So it gets me thinking. A question I've been wanting to ask the last few minutes. How are guest desires changing now? How is it different, making sure they're super happy in July of 2020 versus July of 2019?
Well, I think everybody's probably saying the same thing, and that is they want to feel safe.
I have a feeling your answer is going to be a little bit different and better.
They want to feel safe. But really, everybody has been cooped up. So what can we do in our properties that make a difference? We can be of service. We can always be the person that's the hotel that's of service. And the other thing is we can create very memorable experiences. What are people's memories going to be of 2020? Are they going to be sitting around their house and being bored and doing Zoom meetings? That's what everybody's going to be thinking about. But if we can get them out into our properties, especially the boutique hotels that are in small markets where they can feel safer and they can have an experience, that's what the memory for 2020 is about. And so we're about creating those experiences for our guests and for our team.
Excellent. All right. So, David, you had a question that you wanted to bring up about independent versus branded hotels. Maybe now would be a good time to bring that up if you can find it. But while he's looking for that specific question, maybe you could tell us what is going on in the difference between your boutique hotels versus your branded hotels and how your strategy might be a little bit different when trying to sell both of them.
Well, I would say that, the boutique hotels obviously are about experiences. And while the branded hotels also, it's about experience, it's about guest satisfaction, it's a little bit different a dynamic because a lot of them all look the same. So it's really about the people and the services.
Right.
And so we're still focused on that. And so I think the difference really is in how we bring back a branded hotel is just making them feel comfortable and safe. And then that the team is all engaged. In the boutique hotel, it's the same thing, but then we add the experience of the property, telling the story of the property in that one additional element. But I don't think it's that much different. And, it is all about what people take away with them when they leave.
What would you do if I gave you one of the big branding companies right now and made you CEO, and not any specific one, but just what would you do different that the big brand leaders do you think aren't doing that needs improvement? What's the one thing that you think brands across the globe could improve on?
Hotel brands. I think it's about, and they are trying to do it. You see it on TV commercials. It is about the emotional experience that you have when you travel and connecting to that emotional experience, whether it's a property or not. It's about getting in your car, getting on an airplane, whatever it is, going someplace with your family, with your friends or whatever, and creating memories. And I think if we focused on that, we would have more people coming.
When I was in Vegas last year for one of the many times I was there speaking, I think Len, you were there with me, and I had 3 hotel rooms. I was very fortunate. I had like one of those big.
That was last December.
I had one of those big, like ridiculous suites, like that. Lady Gaga stays in over at the Wynn or wherever. Then I had another ridiculous suite at one of the other brands, and then I had a really nice suite at the Nomad Hotel. Now, Nomad is my go-to hotel. And I was like, wow, I got this hotel, I got this. So everybody wanted me to stay at their hotels because I was working on several different projects. And I remember I had to kind of lie a little bit and say, I'm not available because of this, that, the other thing. And then one hotel I was like, yeah, I'll take the room. And I went there, I took the key, but I never went there. I never went into the room, but I didn't want to disappoint the person that gave me the room because it's like a ridiculous, like $30,000 a night room. But my point being is I went back to the Nomad that has a beautiful suite, but it's comfortable because my emotional, when I think of Vegas, I think of the Nomad and I think of that room because I could literally, I just said to my family today, I said, I can live at the Nomad suite for the rest of my life and be very happy. There's an emotional connection they made with me from the chocolate bar that I got at the Nomad restaurant in New York City. That's a Nomad, best chocolate bar I've ever had. To the smell, to when I walk in there, popcorns, they know I love Coney Island, they have Nathan's hot dogs. There's an emotional connection they made to me that even when I had these incredible suites that I really wanted to experience because I love experiencing new hotels, I never went. Simply, I could not tear myself away from the Nomad.
Congratulations, Nomad. Great PR plug there for them. And they've done their job. They've created that emotional connection, which I think is what we all aim to do. A hotel, a road warrior hotel is a road warrior hotel. A lot of times they don't even know what city they're in. But if you can create that through your team and through the property experience, that emotional connection, you've got a winner and you've got a guest for life, which is exactly what you just said.
No, and same with the Wynn lobby, when I walk into the Wynn poker room, like I just sometimes, like I've said before, I walk in just to be happy. If I'm in a bad mood, I walk in and I feel happier. It's just, like at night, I love the Nomad. During the day, I love the Wynn. So it's like those emotional connections. I walk through a standard hotel and like it could be one of the big brands and it looks the same as the other hotels. Like I walked into one in Washington, D.C. I won't name the hotel. And I was like, oh, this is nice. They just spent $1 trillion on it. And it's like, okay, this looks like every other hotel I've been to.
Right.
Hotels.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right about that, Anthony. As a matter of fact, I saw this one great speech on someone doing a design presentation, and they showed 3 photographs all next to each other of 3 different hotel rooms, and they all looked exactly the same. And then on the next slide, they revealed that they were all from 3 different major hotel brands that you could tell was in urban locations in there. So that's difficult. So, Kimberly, we got another great question coming from the audience. Are you finding that price point matters more for guests now? Maybe just expecting more for less, or are you just able to keep the rates, I would say, where you've been and everything's just fine with leaving everything as is?
Yeah, I would say for the select service for the branded properties, there is a rate They are looking for a good rate value.
Right.
For the boutique hotels, not so much. I mean, I was really surprised. We opened up the Sessions Hotel in Bristol June 29th of this year. We delayed, obviously, because of everything.
Right.
We opened June 29th, and I said, let's open at the rates that we said we were going to open at, and let's see what happens. And we haven't had to change our rates. And now our occupancies hover around 30%, for 1 month in. In current conditions, I'm not so unhappy about that. But the rate is exactly what I wanted to get, and people are paying it, and we're not getting any rate denials. We're not getting any kind of pushback on that. And I think it's because when they come, the experience that they have and the team that they're dealing with, people that are working at the property are fantabulous. I mean, they're great, and I think that makes a difference. And they say, "Hey, it's worth it. I'm worth it."
And I think that's so right. Is that we're finding the same thing in my business. That if you're giving a spirit and a value, people aren't looking to nickel and dime you right now. People are so tired of just arguing with everything about everybody. Going to the supermarket and saying, "Put your damn mask on." Everybody's just so tired of being tired. There's if I'll give you the $1. But just make me happy. I go to this new ice cream store that I found because that's vegan ice cream because I can't have regular ice cream. And I haven't had an ice cream cone in 15 years. And I found this great ice cream cone with this great vegan ice cream. And I go in there and I will tell you that I double whatever I pay for my ice cream. I give them exact same amount in a tip simply because I love the people behind the counter. I love the store. And they make me feel something. It's like it's my happy place. Like sometimes I'll leave right in the middle of the day and just spend an hour going to get my ice cream, sitting in my car to have my ice cream, and coming back to work just because it makes me happy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't mind that the cone was $7.50. Okay,
Yep.
I'll give you $15 for the cone. I'll tip. I just want to feel happy.
Yep.
And that's what people want, And right now, if you nickel and dime people, okay, let me ask you an example. And I probably know the answer. But what is your cancellation policy?
Right now we have a 24-hour cancellation policy. However, we are very flexible with that if we have to. And each property is a little bit different. Some are 4 p.m., but for our boutiques, it's 24 hours. But we're flexible. If there's
somebody calls you and says, hey, calls you in the morning and says, hey, I can't make it because whatever, somebody in my family got sick or my boss needs me or whatever, you guys flexible?
Yeah, we're flexible. And then we say, hey, when you coming back? When can we get you back? Come back when you can.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I really think right now hotels, companies would be in much better shape if they said 24/7, you can cancel anytime you want. Hotels.com just came out with a commercial. It's about time, 4 months later, and basically said, book now, travel later. If you cancel, whatever. And we all know Hotels.com out of the gate got it so bad and so wrong that they should have done this day one. 4 months after they get thrown through the mud and they get beat up, they're like, okay, we give. Like that is an insane, to me, leadership, just failure.
I agree with that. I think that, in our world right now in travel, as we've talked about, is an emotional experience. That's all it's what it is. Now, sometimes it's not for good reasons and it's for business and all, but it still has an emotional connection. And so if we were to do the right thing by people, which is what Craig and I did with Cornerstone, we live by the golden rule, do unto others as you'd have done unto you. So if we treat people like that as an industry, we're going to get more than we had. And so when we do the right thing, I think we win. It's when we try to, hurt people or take things from people that really were not deserving of at the time or whatever, that we lose, and we lose bigger. We continue to lose. And so I think you're right. I think you're completely right.
Kimberly, I love you. The reason you're so successful is because I've said that over my career. I think if you lose, I lose. We both got to win, and we got to both maybe lose a little bit. But if one loses, one wins. And I talk about in my book about the seesaw, right? If we're not being fair on the seesaw, if I get off the seesaw, you're screwed.
That's right.
Right? But if you give a little bit, then I go up. And if I give a little bit, you go up. And the seesaw in work, in marketing, and in business, is true. And there's a question that we got. If someone has a 4-night stay and they decide not to stay the last night, do you charge them? Now, right, you don't charge them. Now, you're saying, well, Anthony, times are bad. Okay, so if this was in 2008, maybe my mind would be different. Okay, where we're just trying to keep the building going. Now, yes, we're trying to keep the building going, but that guest will come back to you. The decisions you make now, because we're all feeling so shot and emotional. And Kimberly, I'm sure you've had your moments where you're like, oh my God, how am I getting through this, right?
Yeah.
and you had to go back to your dad's military training and things he taught you and the lessons he taught you of getting things through to get over some of this stuff, I would imagine. And I know I went back to my military training. The emotion that we're feeling right now, if you screw me over now, you are never coming back into my life. It's just never going to happen, whether it be a brand, whether it be a store, whether it be a person. Like now we need to take that fourth day and say, hey man, I'd like you to come back, use it. If you want your money back, I'll give you money back, or I can give you a gift certificate to come back another day. Whatever you decide, whatever is better for you. I just did that with a client because he called me and said, what do I do? And I told him, and all of a sudden the person wrote on TripAdvisor, oh my God, what a great hotel, right? So right now, people are just feeling, this is what people have to understand. We are feeling feelings, and we are at a level that we've never been before in our lives. I'm 55 years old, and I've never felt 90% of the crap that I'm feeling on a daily basis. So, and I'll tell you one thing that I'm feeling deeper than I've ever felt. Not a time to screw with me. This is not a good time to screw with me because we're also sensitive. So if you're screwing,
I can vouch for that.
If you're screwing with, and actually he's not lying. If you're screwing with a guest right now, you're just going to get hurt.
No. Well, and why? I mean, I understand, 4-night stays, we have minimums too, where you have a special event or something like that, which there aren't very many going on right now. So it's hard to mandate.
I think every guest is a special event.
That's correct. But wouldn't you rather have a positive comment on a Google or a review or something like that about your property rather than have some, you make them upset? I'd rather have a repeat guest, and I'd rather have a happy guest than somebody talking positively about us.
Is that harder for you to do now because you're so needing that money, or is it just so built into your persona and your leadership style that it's easy to roll off?
Well, let me just tell you, on my computer screen at the bottom right now, I have this little piece of paper that I got actually from a Chinese short fortune cookie years ago. And it says, money will come when you are doing the right thing. And I think that's true. And so if we live by that and we do the right thing, we're going to win. In the end, we will win. It may be painful right now, but we will win.
And as tight as things are, if that fourth night, one reservation is the difference between you paying your mortgage and not paying your mortgage, guess what? Your hotel's gone anyway.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
But that will come back. And listen, I live by that. Like right now we're dealing with our clients and I'm giving, 100 times more hours than I should be giving. That should be given. That's wrong. That is contracted for because it's just, what's the difference? It's like people need me now. People need me now. And you know what? When we write the contract, we didn't put in there, if COVID happens, I'll give you more hours. But,
right. Well, we did the same thing too with some of our management contracts. We have bottom line base fees that we charge, and we're not doing that because it's not the right thing. It's not the owner's fault we're in this position, so we're not going to punish them for that. But I think that if we constantly just do the right thing, as you said, Anthony, and people's true character comes out during the time's biggest tests. We're in a big test right now. What's our character going to be as an industry? How are we going to treat people? Because that's what people are going to remember. Mm-hmm. And so if we can treat them right, if we can do the right thing, and we are, we're forged in the fire right now, and we come out stronger on the other end, hey, we've all learned something. We've grown from the experience. We'll be able to look back on it and feel positive about our actions. And I think
people say to me sometimes, you're letting that company or that individual take advantage of you. And this is my favorite comeback is, I can't be taken advantage of if I know I'm being taken advantage of.
If you're doing it with them, that's right.
I know I'm being taken advantage of. I'm allowing them to take advantage of me for two reasons. One, because they need me right now. And two, it's going to come back to me. So I very rarely ever get taken advantage of when I don't know I'm not getting taken advantage of. Very rarely. I'm from Brooklyn. I can read a room. So and I almost want in some factors for you to take advantage of me because you're so needing me right now and you're pushing me when you really shouldn't and other people wouldn't, but you're such an aggressive person, you're such an entrepreneur that you're taking as much as you can get until I say stop. Yeah. And when I say stop, I'll say it. I'm not afraid of saying it. And that's the difference when people who maybe not have a strong personality like you or me or like Glenn, when they start taking advantage of us and we don't know when to say stop. I always know when to say stop. So I'm not afraid of you coming a little deeper than you would have normally because you need me to do that right now. So that's not taking advantage of me.
Yep, I agree.
We've all been there. I don't think you can get to a level that we try to achieve if you don't understand that.
So Kimberly, before we before we wrap up today, we talked a lot about individual properties. What about you as a company, as a management company? I know that you have properties that are under construction, but how do you start to pivot and look at opportunity that should be revealing itself in the next 6 months, a year, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, I'll be honest, we're not really big. I mean, we promote ourselves and we go after certain pieces of business. And we want to work with people that we want to work with, have the same value propositions. But we do know that we followed behind management companies that have come in and been about the numbers and not cared about the property. So we feel like because of our reputation, and I think you saw some of that today, because of how we do business, we will get more business out of this economic crisis that we're in, because we care, and people are going to want to work with people and management companies that care and that have a different attitude about how they operate their business. And then we also are looking for always the next opportunity. We have 4 projects in development, boutique hotel projects in development. We're not a large company. We try to stay as nimble as we can, so we don't have a huge staff, but we do have a great staff and a great team. And so we're looking for other boutique hotel opportunities in other markets. We're looking to work with other developers, whether it's branded or it's a boutique hotel. So I think those are going to come to us. I think naturally we'll get them, and the properties that we're supposed to have and the people that really want to work with people like us, they're going to come. They're going to find us.
Yeah, and I think your company, and based on knowing you just in this conversation, is you're built for extended stay properties. You're built like that would be something I would imagine, like you said, you're looking at, because that's kind of like when you have a 30, 40 room hotel and you can really give that spirit, because people get tired of giving that spirit of hospitality when they have 1,200 room hotels, because it's every day, 24/7. I've never gotten tired of it. I've run very big hotels. I just have it. I just love doing it. And when you have a smaller hotel and you can do an extended stay, it makes this whole hospitality career worth it.
Well, and we have some extended stay. We just opened up our first My Place in Virginia, and then
awesome.
And we have some extended stay products, but we also have a lot of the boutiques and we have a lot of brands. So we're looking forward to more business coming our way, and business that's supposed to be working with us and that we want to work with. So I'm looking forward to that. Thank you.
Excellent. If you want to learn more about My Place, an extended stay brand on the move, check out our show with their CEO Ryan Rivet in our archives.
Yeah.
So Kimberly, any final thoughts before we left? But here's a comment. I had a wedding group yesterday, and I had a lot of bad feedback for not having breakfast. Not time yet, I think. I don't understand that kind of bad feedback, because honestly, it's not like you're trying to be a jerk. You're trying to follow health and safety measures. So. Yeah. Maybe comment on whether or not you think it's too soon to bring back certain things, and how are you dealing with not bringing back those things in terms of your approach to your customer base?
Well, I don't know what type of property that person had. I'm assuming that it's a branded hotel that normally offers complimentary breakfast.
Yes.
If it's a full service property, what we've tried to do is partner with other restaurants. So if we can partner with a restaurant and figure out a breakfast solution for them, whether we're providing it or not, that's what we really should be doing, especially for groups like wedding parties. If they want a breakfast, let us help coordinate that off-site or somewhere where we're not already doing the breakfast. And it's hard right now. Breakfast is hard right now
I would agree with that. And I think where David, and David's a big fan of ours, he's here every day, but did you communicate that to the wedding group? Did you set expectations? Did you say, we will not have breakfast, but we can do this, or we can't do anything, and we have to make a decision here? But did we work hard enough to really set that expectation? I can't imagine a wedding group coming in, me not having breakfast, and me not telling them we're not going to have breakfast. That just wouldn't be in my ability if I was running a hotel to feel so guilty that I know they're going to be looking for breakfast.
Yeah.
It seems to me, David, was that a communication problem?
Daniel.
So was it Daniel or David? Daniel, I'm sorry. So that's just my 2 cents. And
I also think you're right, Anthony. And I think too that the fact that travelers don't understand what we're doing. They know that normally we have free breakfast in these type properties. And if we're not offering it, they may not know we're not offering offering it. And so what are you talking to your guest about? And so
one of the things I've learned a long time ago is if you can't do something for someone long term, don't give it to them, because taking something away is a lot worse. So you've taken something away that you had no control over, ever anticipating taking away. You've got to over deliver on the communication. And I would think that you can deliver some kind of breakfast experience. And if you can't, again, give them 27 options before they get to the property. But I think that's potentially a communication issue.
Right. Marriott made it grab only. Daniel, I think you're at I feel like he's at a Moxie. Is that what you're at,
But did we
Daniel?
communicate it to the wedding group is my point. Did we call them up and beg for their forgiveness 27 hours, of, hey, we can't do this. Can we do, okay, so it's a grab and go. What can we do? Maybe we can give you a room, right? We can give you a free room. You grab and go to the room and do whatever you want. Okay, that's fine. It's like a suite. Just go do what you want. But there's no way the wedding group comes to my hotel and you can't, you don't want to wait. You don't want that kind of, bad publicity for two reasons. One, you don't want the bad publicity. And two, you don't want the aggravation. I always say the reason I'm so nice to people is because I don't want to hear them.
Yep. It's true. Well, that's part of it. You don't want them to be unhappy and you don't really want to have to deal with that. It's like, let's diffuse the situation, figure out the problem, find a solution, diffuse, gone, move on to the next thing.
Yep. All right. Beautiful. All right, Kimberly.
Yeah.
Final thoughts. And of all the guests we've had on recently, you have earned a shameless plug. Sometimes I just say it to be nice, but you've actually earned it.
Thank you. Thank you. I would just say for the industry at large, to all of the people that are working in the industry, myself, my business partner, we understand where we are right now, and let's just try to take care of the people that come and visit with us. Let's be good hospitality. Look up the word, remember what it means, and let's be that person. Let's welcome people to our homes, which are our hotels, and do a really good job at that. And if you're looking to come to work for a quality company, Cornerstone Hospitality is the place to be. And if you're an owner, please look us up. If you're trying to develop properties or you're looking for a new management company that really cares, Cornerstone cares. So please look us up.
Yes, as a matter of fact, somebody was up here in the comment section saying they are a housekeeper and they were wondering if you had a hotel need a specific location because they'd like a job. I missed that location. I think it was Dayton, but I don't recall. But
Well, we have
a lot of hotels that are opening. We have Hotel Elkhart in Indiana. That's going to be opening in March of next year. We just opened the Sessions in Bristol. We've got Greenville, North Carolina. The Ficklin will open here in a couple of years. And so we've got properties that are coming along. So please look us up.
And final comment. Kimberly needs her own corner. Look out, Chris, who's our regular guest.
What's so funny? Wait. What's so funny was I was going to say something right here on air because Glenn knows that I just say what comes to my mind. And I was like, well, two management companies on the same day may be different, but maybe different days. I think we need Kimberly. I'm sorry, Chris, I love you, but I think we can share the love.
Thank you.
We can. Kimberly, we'll definitely have you come back, hopefully, again and again. This has been absolutely delightful.
Send me your cell number and your information because I want to stay in touch because I have a couple projects that you may be right for. And I have people always asking me if there's anybody hiring, so I can send a lot of stuff your way.
Oh, thank you guys so much. Thank you for your time and for having us on today.
And thanks to Patty for putting me in touch with you because this was Patty Tristler's idea, an amazing designer that I'm friendly with. We hadn't met before, but boy, are we better for having known you now. Thank you.
Awesome.
Take care. Have a great afternoon. Wow. Yay.
You know what? One day you will not cut our guests off. You literally cut her off every time.
All right. So let me bring her back one more second. I'm going to say goodbye to you and not cut you off. I'll let you say goodbye before I hit the button. So goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you so much. Was that better?
That was better.
All right.
there's moments where you just meet somebody and they just get it. And when they were born, they got a whole truck of get it. They just got it. You know what? It's like God just gave them a whole truck of get it. And it's so true. She's probably laughing, right?
Yeah, I could see. I could see her. I could see her backstage getting away. Hold on. Let's see her laugh.
Put it back because I have to say nice things about her.
All right, goodbye. We'll embarrass you with you not here.
Listen, it's really hard to be a numbers person, to be a design person, to be a service person, to be a business person, an entrepreneur, all the stuff that goes into it. And still get it done. And again, these aren't big properties. These aren't 1,500 room hotels. These aren't where you make in A-list markets where you make one mistake and you can make up for it on a Tuesday because Sunday sucked. You suck on Sunday, man, and you didn't get it right on Sunday. That's a month worth of problems. And so when you're looking at these markets, these are the toughest markets and these are the toughest hotels to deal with. And to have the reputation, she doesn't have the biggest management company out there. And to have this many people on our show know her, love her, and talk about her company this way, and it's not just her, it's her partner and everybody else. It's just, we've never seen it before. I mean, when Jerry Inzarella, who's an icon on industry, and Horst Schulze, who's an icon on industry, they didn't have half the comments she had.
Yeah, that's incredible. That was really incredible. I really enjoyed that conversation. I hope you guys learned as much as we did. And Steve, we talked about the Shepherd staff right at the beginning of the show. So if you missed it, watch the replay of the show and you'll learn all about that.
No, but he wants to know about the Dutch store because I want to know about that too. And I was interested about that, but I didn't ask her.
All right. Yeah, well, we'll bring her back. That's enough of a reason to have her come back again to get to the bottom of the Dutch door mystery over there. So, Anthony, I'm excited because on Thursday, we're going to be broadcasting from Mohegan Sun Resort and Casino up in Connecticut. That should be good. We got some more great guests coming on this week, including the return of Michael Schindler from Four Corner Advisors and some other cool people. Oh, Greg Aiden is going to be here tomorrow from Aiden Leadership. He's really phenomenal. He's been in the hospitality industry for a long, long time. He'll be able to help us get our stuff together. And then on Friday, we'll just be having a lot of nonsense with me and you. So that should be a lot of fun.
I like nonsense. 1 to 20, guess the number, go.
17.
Fuck. 11. All right, you got it wrong this time.
Damn it! We should have quit after I done. We
got the 20 done. We should have quit. But and I dropped the F1. I apologize about that. But it just, you know what? Like you said, you learned something, right? And I'm glad you did. And I didn't learn anything because, like, I have been in the business probably longer than she has, or as long as she's probably not as long because she's a lot younger than me. But like I had it's not so much I learned anything, is that I just appreciate her mindset. And I like to think the people around me and the people that I really kind of want to hire and be around are people like her. So it's not so much that I learned anything as opposed to that's the way you run a effing hotel, man. That's right. The way when you run a business. That's the way you build a reputation. You know, that's the way you do it. And, you know, I haven't known any other way. And it's just such just an inspiration for me to know that there's a management company out there besides Chris's great company that I can lean on in my career. Because I have a lot of people that want me to manage their hotels, and I can't, and I'll send them to them.
Yeah, so many great companies out there. So, hey, if you guys have a great company that you'd like us to talk to their leadership, learn about what they're up to so we could all learn together, or in the case of Anthony, be reminded of all the things that he's already known because he's such a great leader out there himself, let us know. Thank you, gentlemen, for getting this week off to the right foot, reassuring focus and direction. Yeah, I'm excited. So today we learned all about being leaders at the property level and how to make a great experience at the property level and really taking care of your people. And tomorrow we're going to really energize your career through understanding how to be a great leader with Greg Aiden. It's a not to be missed show. I've spoken to him before. He's a terrific professional that's worked at a lot of major hotel companies. So it's really very specifically applicable to what all of us are passionate about.
I hope when I said that I didn't really, I hope that I didn't sound full of shit because that wasn't my point. My point was
no.
People. Like she's my people. I like
that's right.
Me and her get in a room together and we can run any hotel in the world.
No, I absolutely agree. But one of the things that I think was great about today is that sometimes you say these things that she said, but coming from somebody else, it really allowed you to be able to bring up some of those great points in the right context, you know?
The thing that I love about people is I can learn from. So I can learn from her every day. I would walk into a room, and if she was my boss or if I was her boss, say for some reason I was in the room and I was her boss, I'd be like, listen, we all know that you should be my boss. So I'm just going to sit here and pretend I'm your boss. But can you run the show? And if you need me, I'll be right here. I've done that with John Paulson and Tishman. You know, I have no problem doing that. I love when I can learn from people. You know, I get really tired of walking to a room where I can't learn from people. And like my partner, Jeremy Pinkerton, I learn from every day. I just love learning from people. And I learn from you every day. And I love that. And that's what energizes me. It's like, I'm tired of I don't want to have all the answers. Matter of fact, I go out of my way a lot of times to not get in the conversations where people think I have a lot of the answers. I want to be in a room where I learn. I'm kind of at a point in my career and my life where, I'm pretty good at my job, but I want to learn. I want to learn more. I'm kind of stagnant in my brain. And I love people like her because she is just chomping at the bit every day.
I'll tell you, and that's why I love doing this show every single day with you, Anthony, because we've got the top minds in hospitality teaching us the most important things that we all need to know right now. I find it sometimes so inspiring and emotionally positive to my existence.
Full of shit. I love people who aren't full of shit. She's just not full of shit. I wouldn't listen. I wouldn't want to be on it. And what's good about her too is she's still in the back room.
Yes, and she's smiling and nodding positively.
You know, one of the things I wouldn't want to get on her bad side. People like that have a side that like you don't go to.
Oh, she's nodding still.
You're not going through that exit. Like it's like no. Don't ever like person like Kimberly is like weakness and kindness are on two different avenues. She doesn't understand what weakness is.
Right.
And a lot of people get people like her or even me wrong. Sometimes I'm really, really nice. And people are like, oh, he's a little weak. Let me touch that. And then you touch the third rail and then you realize, oh shit, he's lunatic. Like you don't want to mess with people like that. So I would never mess with Kimberly. All right, Kimberly?
All right. So before we wrap up today, I just want to say, hey, Colleen, I'm not offended. I know the background sucks today. I'm seeing it as a metaphor for how I felt Friday afternoon when I just felt like I hit a brick wall. And it's, of course, a great background from, Stand Up New York, a comedy club and all of that. But I am working on getting a better background, and I will continue to allow all of you to make fun of me for my horrible backgrounds going forward. It's part of the charm of this show. And speaking about this show, be sure to subscribe. If you're not getting our weekly newsletter, text the word hotel to 66866. Easy enough. The word hotel to 66866 couldn't be any easier. Anthony, any final thoughts before we start moving out here? Maybe people need a little hospitality success in their lives, maybe?
Hospitality success. Well, first of all, we've never branded the show the Kimberly Show, but that was the Kimberly Show. The name of that show wasn't No Vacancy. It was called the Kimberly Show. No one's ever been given that much love in one show in their entire lifetime. So
now she's doing like the Southern lady type of a thing.
Hospitality success. This Thursday, we're doing a Facebook Live. We're actually working on it as we speak. We're trying to figure it out because we want to do some video, but we're not so sure if we can get away with that because of hospitality, because Hotel Impossible belongs to Travel Channel and not to Anthony Mercuri. So we're working on different ways of getting around that. But please go to hospitalitysuccess.com. Thursday, we're having a show on Facebook Live where I'm going to break down one of the episodes and what went into breaking it down and really the reason. Because when you look at those shows or you look at the way I go about my business, I don't put a lot of thought into what I'm about to say or do simply because that thought's been baked for 30 years. So if there's like one scene where there's a safe, it was on wheels. Right. And my producer says, we don't have time to really go through this right now. I go, there's a safe on wheels. What part of that isn't one, good TV, and two, lunacy?
No, it's great TV.
So I made them stop everything. And it's like, I rolled the safe out of the hotel. It's like I don't need a lot of thought about why it's that wrong. Right. Like the drop safe where they drop their money is on wheels. And they thought that was hysterical. And I stole it in the middle of the day. No one knew I stole it. But anyway.
Oh my God.
A lot more interesting stuff than that. It's basically how do you go from a branded hotel to a non-branded hotel. I have a 2:00 meeting or sometime today with one of my clients about how to do just that, how to go from a branded hotel to a non-branded hotel. And this one's easier because his brand is doing not a good job. So,
well, there you go. That'll be good. I want to hear more about that conversation. It sounds like a great topic for a future show as well over here on No Vacancy Live.
You just asked the questions, my friend. It's all in here.
I know. That's why you are just a wellspring of information. We always have great content by just tapping into your brain. So I want to thank everybody for being here. What a fun show. We'll see you all back here tomorrow. And from Thursday, we're going to be again at Mohegan Sun Resort and Casino, but we'll still have a show Wednesday as normal. So we'll be here all week. Thank you, guys. Remember, you've got one life, so blaze on. And
Colleen says, women rule, I agree with, and be kind to yourself.
See you tomorrow, guys.